Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Create It and Crush It Masterclass. I'm so sorry about our technology challenges today. We're on Zoom instead of Blab, but we'll get those worked out for the future so you can join us. But we are still going to record a full masterclass, give you all the content, and make sure that you get the recording so that you can take part in this information. You can ask Lynsey or I any questions that you have. If you want to respond to the email that you're getting this in, if you want to comment in the Facebook group on this post, do that. Let us know what questions you have and how we can support you. So today I want to introduce Lynsey, and I am so excited to have her here because she has such a unique take. She has taught me so much. I've learned so much by working with her, and now I'm so happy to have her bring that to you. So Lynsey is an intuitive and spiritual business mentor. She helps soul-centered women really align to their purpose, up-level their success. She uses energy healing, intuitive guidance, and soul-inspired action to help her clients really own their power, step into their power, and then use that to attract more clients, more abundance with ease. And that is why she's hosting this class today on unlocking your intuition and manifesting clients and cash. So today we're going to just start by asking Lynsey a little bit about her background and a little bit about how getting support, how creating community has helped her to really create it and crush it online. And then we're going to go right into the masterclass. The reason I want to ask her that is because I think, that's really why I wanted to start this masterclass, is because I think we all have such beautiful, interesting areas of expertise, and that by coming together and creating a community around that, we can all be stronger. I really do believe that a rising tide lifts all ships, boats, whatever, all of the above. And I feel like it is so, so important to share that with you and to share how much having support and creating community has helped us on our journey. So Lynsey, I would love to hear about your background. I would love for you to share that with everybody. And I would love for you to tell us how having support or coaching or community has shaped your journey of creating it, amazing content and crushing it online.
Definitely. Thank you so much for having me. And support and community has been so huge for me. And, one of the things, being an intuitive entrepreneur, my first business, I was a registered dietitian and I did a lot of holistic healing. And I've always felt really different from everyone around me. So even when I was working as a dietitian and doing holistic healing, I saw things and did things a lot differently from all the other practitioners, even practitioners. I was in my 20s at the time, and people who were in their 50s and who had been doing things for a really long time. So that feeling of being really supported and feeling like I had a community of like-minded people was something that I didn't always have. And the first few years of my business, it really affected me because I didn't feel confident in my message. I didn't feel confident in what I was doing. It was actually really even challenging for me to fully own my gifts because I was afraid, are people going to want this? What are they going to think if I, tell my nutrition clients that I'm an intuitive and, if I start talking about all these deep things, which that was really what excited me and lit me up. But I felt like if I started to talk about all these things and I let my clients see that, I didn't know how they were going to respond because, growing up and even my mentors, I didn't have that support and I didn't feel seen or supported by them. So it was really challenging for me to own that within myself. And I think, I really struggled in my business. I was overdrafting my bank accounts. I had a part-time job. And some of the things that we'll actually be talking about today is that turning point of when I really realized okay, I have this powerful intuitive gift. I have this strong intuition, this knowing that has guided me in all these other areas of my life. I knew that it was time for me to bring it in my business. And when I did that and I actually reached out and allowed myself to start getting support, which was a whole nother journey in itself because I had to learn how to be supported and when we start talking about manifesting, we'll talk about that a little bit because, for me, never having support or never feeling like I had that support when I started to get mentors or even business coaches, I didn't feel like they saw me. And I picked people that didn't fully understand me or they didn't fully hold that space for me to like fully be in my full potential and full capacity. And then I met you. And I was like, wow, okay, there are people who can support me. And so like having that support has allowed me to expand and grow my business in a whole new way, and showing up doesn't feel hard. It doesn't feel challenging anymore. And I know a big part of that is, having that container to be able to fully show up in and fully be myself and then bring that to my clients.
I think that's so powerful, right? And that's also why like this community vibe and energy is so important too, because what we're really saying is like, we want to be seen on several levels by mentors, by peers, by clients, etc. Right? So when we can create this community around it, when we can share our message and then others can use it to grow and support themselves, that's really how we all grow and evolve. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. And thank you for being so honest about that. And thank you for allowing me to see you and support you, because I know that's super challenging as well. Okay, so let's dive right in. I know you have so much to share with us today. I will monitor the comments. So if you guys have questions throughout, feel free to put them in. I'll share them with Lynsey. I will probably have questions too, because I always have questions when you speak. So just have at it, and we'll, keep you posted on what we need more information on along the way.
Awesome. So as I said, I really wanted to share with you the process that I went through whenever I was allowing myself to bring my own intuitive gifts into my work, but like also use my intuition to compass me in my work. Because when I did that, my business literally, like, I went from overdrafting my bank account to having a $7,000 month, and like within 6 weeks, which was like really fast because I had no consistent income before then and I was really struggling. And so I've seen these tools work for myself, this process, and also my clients. And so, yeah, that's the process that I want to share with you of really getting to the place of being able to manifest. So we're just going to go through, and it's 5 steps. So the first step is really getting grounded. And, this is something that so many of us as entrepreneurs can take for granted. And, like we can avoid that step and just feel like, oh my God, I have so much to do. Like, I'm just going to start doing the things that I need to do. But seriously, like grounding is the most important step. And, I'm in this 9-month energy program right now. And one of the things she said is the fastest way to get money is to ground. Period. If you want to bring money in, get grounded. And that's the fastest way to actually call money in. And so whenever I say grounding, I'm going to bring you through a little grounding exercise in a second. But what I mean is like really coming back to that place in your own center, like that place where you can feel, when we think of grounding, like Mother Earth is our ultimate grounding support. It's all about feeling nurtured, feeling safe, feeling supported. And, that's also the same energy as money. So whenever I talk about like getting grounded, it's getting to a place where you can allow yourself to fully feel safe and supported, even if it's in a single moment. So even if it's like right now in this moment. Another thing, so meditation is a powerful way to do that. Being outside and like physically being with the earth. And that was one of the ways that I always felt really grounded. I would go to like my sacred spots, like the lake or the swamp or the beach. I'm not near the beach, but Lacey is, so she could go to the beach. And just allowing yourself to be in nature, because that's like the ultimate grounding force. And another way is just to get really super clear on what do you need to allow yourself to be successful. So for me, this was huge when I finally asked myself that question, you know, because here I was overdrafting my bank account. I was an emotional mess. I couldn't even pull myself together, like to be able to do a Facebook post or like an email. I had this like fear that, you know, because I'm so sensitive to energy, I felt like if I write a post from this place of being so vulnerable, like people are going to feel that. So I felt like people were going to feel my energy because, you know, I feel other people's energy. So anytime I was feeling emotional or anything like that, like I wouldn't allow myself to show up. So one day I was having this big sob fest and I like got really honest with myself and I asked myself the question, like, what do I need to allow myself to show up? And that is getting super grounded, right? Because it's like, what do I need to feel safe enough, to feel supported enough, to feel nurtured enough to allow myself to show up in my full potential?
So Lynsey actually asked a question, and I think that's like pretty relevant to what you're about to say, which is like, so say we're talking safe spaces, right? So like say for me, it's like the beach or whatever, right? Like, but how, when your safe space feels kind of chaotic, how can you ground in that? Like maybe my safe space is my home, but there's like some chaos going on. Like, how do I ground? Do I find a different space? Is there a way to shift that energy? Like, what's your advice on that?
Yeah, so you can definitely like clear your space. Like if it is your home, you can use, you know, incense or sage, those types of things. Maybe it's, you know, clearing your space by like decluttering or those kind of things. But if you are like at a place of feeling very overwhelmed, then I would almost say like plugging into something else to allow yourself to be nurtured and then tackle the thing that feels more overwhelming. So like when I got honest about with myself about ways that I felt nurtured, you know, one thing was like exercise. Like if I don't do my exercise, if I'm not doing, whether it's walking or yoga or, you know, sometimes it's going to the gym, but like that makes me feel really grounded in my body and it helps me like manage stress. Another thing is just simply like, you know, whenever I'm doing like green smoothies or like nourishing my body physically feels really good and it feels really grounding to me. And I knew that that was something that I needed to be able to allow myself to show up in a bigger way online. Another thing is community. So when I was getting really honest with myself, I knew that I needed like tribe. I needed sisters that were like going through that same space because doing it alone literally like was not working for me anymore. So, you know, like if my house, for example, is feeling really overwhelming because maybe there's clothes or da 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 da, like I can plug into one of those other things, whether it's, you know, exercising or going somewhere outside, or maybe it's going have coffee with a friend, but like figuring out like what nourishes you and what like fills your cup up so that you can show up and be in that place of being ready to like, you know, show up in your fullest, whether you have money or not in the moment, and know that like you're making an impact to just being of service.
That's very good. Thank you.
So what I want to do is just bring you through a quick grounding meditation. And I already feel like some of you might feel the energy a little bit already shifting just as we're talking about grounding, but we'll just take it to the next level and do a quick meditation. So if you just want to get comfortable wherever you are, and I'll be sending y'all some grounding vibes as we're doing this too, so you might feel it. And just take a few deep breaths. Breathing is another way to just get grounded in your body, to actually, you know, start to just bring your awareness to your physical body. So breathing in through your nose and out through your nose. Just noticing any sensations, any places maybe that feel a little bit tight or tense. And you can imagine yourself sitting somewhere in nature, whether it's by a big tree or maybe the beach, somewhere where you feel really safe. And as you sit there, just allow yourself to start to feel supported by this moment. Allowing yourself to feel the ground and just feel it supporting you. It's actually holding you up. You might even imagine yourself sinking into the ground and it creating like this personalized chair just for you, molding your body, supporting your back. And just notice how that feels. Notice how your body feels. So I invite you just to take one more deep breath. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes. So that was just a mini grounding. You may have noticed your body starting to feel a little bit heavy. You might feel a little bit tired or just relaxed. And, you know, that's the thing about like when we allow ourselves to get in this space of grounding, it can feel like you feel your body relaxing because it is like a state of bringing you back into being able to relax. So, and you know, like this is coming to me, so I'll just share it. Like that's really the state when you can lean back into like not stressing about, you know, money or finding clients, but like you can lean back into that place of feeling already safe. Then you are in the energy that is going to allow you to attract the money because money is a support. It's a support energy. So when you are in your feminine of receiving and allowing, that's whenever money's going to flow to you. So do we want to just check in and see if there's any questions about that before we move to the next?
Sure. Yeah. If you guys have any questions about that, feel free to pop them in the comments. So basically Lynsey's sharing with us her 5 steps, and like step 1 was getting grounded. We just went through this beautiful grounding meditation. I yawned about 150 times because it totally worked. And every time I have work with Lynsey, I feel like that's what happens is like I just relax, I yawn like 100 times, right? Because I feel so much more centered and grounded in her energy and her presence. So I'm so glad that you are all getting to experience that as well. Hey, Raina, that's okay. We're all kind of late today, having some technology issues, but thank you for joining us. Cool. So if you guys don't have any questions, Lynsey, you can move on to step 2, and they can just keep us posted in the comments.
Perfect. So, so once you're grounded, once you really are clear on, you know, what do I need to be grounded in my business? The next thing is getting super clear on your intentions and on what you want. So, you know, one thing that I see a lot of people struggle with is they think they want something, but they don't really want it. It's not like a real desire. It's more of like a mental desire, but it's not like a deep, I like to call it like a deep belly desire or like a knowing where it's that pull. Like you can think of a time where whether it's you wanted to work with a coach, or maybe it's like you wanted a purse, or you know you wanted something, and it's like when it pulls you and pulls you and pulls you, like those are the desires that you really want to tune into. When it's something.
Sorry, Lynsey, I'm just going to interrupt you really quick because we have a question on grounding. So I just want to make sure you don't get too far into step 2. So Lynsey was just wondering, like grounding and feeling this like relaxed sensation, right? Like me mentioning yawning is like sort of counterintuitive to really trying to like be in work mode, be productive, get stuff done. So like, do you start with grounding? Do you end with it? Do you start with it and then do something to kind of motivate yourself? Like, what does that look like for you?
So like this is kind of like my daily practice too. So you can use this like as the big picture, but then you can break this down into daily practices as well. So like on a daily basis, what I do is I always like to get grounded in the morning. So I'll do like a grounding meditation. I'll go for a walk, sometimes even sit outside. And then the next thing is like set intentions.
Got it. Okay, cool. Thank you.
So, you know, sometimes like if you're in a really frantic state or like a stress state, like you're going to need more grounding to be able to get to the place where you can be clear. But even when I'm at those places of being really tired, or like say like I launch something and whether it's like a challenge or a new program, and I feel like, you know, we get these highs whenever we launch something, and I'm sure you can relate, Lacey, with like, you know, you did a ton of things in last month. So you get like this high when you launch things, and it's almost like a kid playing all day, and then it's like you feel exhausted. And so like if you don't allow yourself to rest, you might get cranky. You might feel like you're on this emotional roller coaster where like you're being triggered all the time, whether it's by like, you know, for me this week, like I've been triggered by my animals, you know, might be your significant other, your clients, whatever, or you see like a post on Facebook and you get really affected, and it's like stuff that usually doesn't bother you, but you notice you're getting triggered by all this stuff. Like that's a great time to like stop and ground. Like my technology issues, you know, it's like the universe saying like, okay, you need to stop and get grounded. So when I notice I'm at like that state, I might take like an extra day or two to really just clear out my schedule, have a light schedule to where I can get grounded and like nurture myself and really fill my cup back up. And then I can go back to like my intentions. That's always like the next thing. Because sometimes you can't even get clear on your intentions of what you really want until you're grounded.
Paula says that she thinks that grounding allows you to receive the messages from your intuition, and then intentions are providing that your intuition intentions are providing you so that your work mode is informed and feels better. So like basically it's not to make you tired, it's to make you like more informed and prepared, right?
Yeah, it's like almost pulling you into that vortex of like being connected with spirit. And, you know, like if you've experienced that in any, you know, whether you're creative, whether you are an intuitive entrepreneur, even like, you know, some people experience it through dancing, some people experience it through singing, but like when you get in that zone where it's almost like you feel like you're losing the track of time and things are just flowing, that's the ultimate like intuitive state of like creation, where, you know, sometimes I'll post something and I don't even know what I posted, and then it's like tons of people are responding. I'm like,
and then you read it back and you're like, that's kind of good.
Yeah, where did that come from? So yeah, that doesn't happen all the time, but you know, what I notice is when I give myself permission to ground, it's like I can get more clarity. Like this weekend, I really took time, I unplugged, and I saw like somebody else, a post of, it was actually one of my mentors. I had shared this in your group about, you know, how one of my mentors had leukemia, and then another one, she had blood pressure issues and all this stuff when I was studying holistic healing. And it really, you know, like that was one of the things that like propelled me in another direction, but like more towards my own soul and like what I really believed. So that whole post was actually inspired. Like I was relaxing. I was like chilling all weekend, doing absolutely nothing. I was exhausted. I was like in that ultimate grounding state. And I saw on Facebook a picture of my mentor who had leukemia, and you know, like her hair is still really short, and I saw her picture and it just like triggered that post, and then like within 5 minutes like the post was born. It wasn't something that like I was thinking of, and I actually posted that in another group, and I got like it's like 120 likes in like 24 hours. Crazy, you know? But that was like when I was relaxing, I was tired, I wasn't trying. Like basically the inspiration just came through me. And so, yeah, like to go off of what Paula said, it's like when we are in that state of grounding, then we are in the place of receiving. So we can just like receive the messages that are wanting to come through. And so to get back to intention, like we can use our intention for that as well. So, like one of the things I like to do with intention is even like if I'm going to go for a walk, so like it's part of my grounding, or whether I do yoga in the morning, I'll set an intention before I get grounded of like, what do I need from that practice? So it might be simply to be grounded. It might simply be to be inspired or to be recharged. But I'll use intention in that sense, because then I almost always receive whatever it is I need from then my self-care practice of getting grounded. And then after that, so I'd go for my walk, and then when I get back, I'll look at like whatever my intentions are for the week. So whether that's to schedule 5 discovery calls, or, maybe my intention for the month is to sell like a certain number of programs or whatever that is. But being really super clear on like what my intention is. And then from there, like setting the intention again for the day and like asking, intuitively, like, what is it that I need to do today to align me with this intention? So, but the most important thing about intentions that I was talking about before we kind of started talking about the grounding again was, choosing or like finding the intentions that are like those deep belly burns and desires. Because if it's just like, and I'm sure everyone can relate to this on some level, like if it's just an intention of like, I want to grow my Facebook group by like 150 people this week. I'm just making this up. Like if I have no energy or no passion or no like real desire around that, and it's like just coming from my logic because I think I need to do this, then it's going to be a lot more challenging to actually do it. And I had a session with someone yesterday, and she had worked with several coaches, and this was our first session together. And like, she was told that she needed to sell big packages, like 6-month packages, even 12-month packages. And we're talking, and she's like, I've never sold a package. Like I haven't sold anything yet. And when, as I was tuning into her energy and the more and more we talked, I asked her, I was like, well, do you want to just do like a 90-minute session right now, or even a small package? And like her energy lit up, and she was like, oh my God, yeah, people told me not to do that. So she didn't let herself. And then she messaged me like less than 24 hours after our call, after our session. And she's like, oh my God, you won't believe it, I sold a session. And like, it goes back to that was an alignment for her. That was like something that she really wanted. She didn't really want to sell a 6-month package. Like maybe she wanted it, but she wasn't really confident. She wasn't really like at the place of really, really wanting it. So setting intentions, but like setting them from that place of like, what really lights you up, what inspires you, what is like going to be exciting for you, because those are the intentions that it has more energy behind it, and it's going to manifest a lot quicker.
So Lynsey, is it kind of like, I want to, whatever you said, book 5 discovery calls this week, right? So is it really like setting that intention, or is it more like I want to book 5 discovery calls in a way that feels good to me, or like I want to be inspired with a way to book discovery calls that feels good to me? Like connect the two for me about like setting the intention of like what we need to happen in our business, and setting the intention for like the right opportunities or ideas to come up around it.
So the first thing that I would do is like get clear on what it is that you want. So, I like to always have like a monthly goal. and then you can break it down into like weekly goals. And I mean, everybody's a little bit different, so it doesn't have to be that structured. And I go back and forth. Like sometimes I operate on the structure and sometimes it doesn't feel good. It kind of depends like what space I'm in, like how much I'm wanting it, you know. But when it's something that I'm really wanting, like if I know like, okay, I'll just use like when I had my big month, for example, like every single week I was breaking it down and I was like, I want to have 5 discovery calls. I didn't care how I got those discovery calls. I wasn't logically thinking like I'm going to post this and get 5 discovery calls. I was basically, I knew I wanted the 5 discovery calls, and my intention was to be shown like, what do I need to do to get those 5 discovery calls? So I would stay open to allowing whatever guidance, you know, was wanting to flow through me, whether it was like, oh, I should do a recording, or, oh, I should do a video, or I should post this in a group, or, you know, whatever I felt inspired to do. So it wasn't really, you know, I don't really operate from the place of logic. I mean, sometimes I do, like I'll have like scheduled posts and scheduled things that I do. But what I notice for myself is when I let that guidance come through, that's when there's always more energy behind that. Like that's always the post that more people are going to comment on, or more people are going to see, or I'll get calls from, or that kind of thing.
Lynsey was wondering like how like vague or not vague do we need to be? Meaning like she said, what about an intention? Like I'm going to pour all of my energy into getting the word out about this program. Like does she need to attach like a definitive result to it, or is her intention just putting her energy toward it?
So I wouldn't even say the intention would be putting your energy towards it. The intention would be getting the program out. Like, so I would even break it down more. Like, who do you want to see it? Like, is there a certain person that you want to see it? Or is there like a certain number of people that you want to sign up? So I wouldn't, you know, focus on like what you need to do. I would just focus on what you want, if that makes sense. Like, for example, at the beginning of May, I set the intention that I wanted to make connections. And I didn't even really get clear on that, but I knew that I wanted to like have more opportunities to do things like this and to talk with other entrepreneurs and make connections. And like, I received so many opportunities in May to connect with people. I probably had the most connection calls that I've ever had. And then, you know, this interview. So, but I wasn't like focused on that every single day. I wasn't thinking about it. I wasn't trying to make it happen. So does that answer your question, Lynsey?
Fist bump. Okay, cool. So get grounded, get clearer and set your intentions then.
So the third thing is knowing like how you receive intuitive messages. So we kind of, you know, talked about the messages a little bit when I was talking about dancing and all these different things, but really just starting to be curious, like how do you receive intuitive messages? You know, for me, my body is like a huge signal. And then like my other thing is emotions. I am like, I can be a total emotional roller coaster. But like our emotions, and I used to not even feel my emotions. I would stuff them down. Like if you'd ask me how I was feeling, I couldn't even put words to it because I shut my intuition and like also my emotions down so much. But our emotions are actually like a huge part of our intuition because that's our internal compass that's like guiding us towards what we need. When we're frustrated or angry, usually it's about because we need to set a boundary towards something. If we're sad or, you know, feeling super vulnerable, like we might need more self-care. And like the same thing, you know, with when we're putting something out in our business. Like, I think this is where some people, like, it can get a little bit muddy and cloudy because, and I know for me, like, probably before I worked with Lacey, I struggled with this a little bit because it is easy, you know, when you are, like, in tune with, like, your emotional compass or even, like, your physical, like, your body compass, when you start to, like, get towards fear, that natural protection, that natural intuition could, like, almost start to, like, it feels really scary and you start feeling like, oh my God, I'm doing this wrong or I shouldn't be doing this. But that's almost another layer of, like, discernment of, like, is this really my intuition or is this fear? But the first step would just be noticing, like, how do you receive intuitive messages? Is it through your body? You know, like, when you're needing to slow down or when something's not right for you, like, noticing, like, does your physical body, like, start to hurt or do you feel exhausted? And, like, for me, you know, I used to, when I would have nutrition clients, I would finish my sessions and I would be exhausted. Or even, like, if I was going to have coffee with a friend that, you know, maybe it was, like, a person that was kind of draining, like, I was exhausted. So looking back, like, I can see, like, okay, my intuition, my energy was telling me something from that. So your emotions, your physical body, hearing can also be, you know, some people, like, actually hear messages from spirit. Other things is even just, like, words from a song. You know, like, you might get in the car and every time you're in the car, it's like the same song is on the radio. Like that, there might be an intuitive message in there for you. And, you know, to me, that's more of, like, the fun, like, intuitive support where spirit's, like, actually supporting you, giving you these signs, giving you these messages. Another thing is, like, you know, seeing. So especially, like, visionaries, having sights or having visions or even, like, seeing things around you, whether it's, you know, seeing numbers, seeing signs. And those, like, so the songs and, like, the signs, those to me are really powerful ways to get confirmation. Like, so if you are at that place of feeling like, is this my intuition or is this fear? Like, should I be doing this? I'll ask spirit to give me signs. And I've got actually really, really good at this. So usually I'm, like, showered with signs and I'll find feathers and, like, the numbers will pop up for me. Animals will, like, come and guide me and, like, I'll see animals and get messages. Like, you can look them up after, like, the spiritual meaning of whatever the animal is and it'll give you a message. And this is a really good way to get some confirmation as to, you know, am I on the right path? Is there something that I'm needing to let go of? And that was a huge way. Like, I remember, you know, when I was, like, getting out of that lull and motivating myself and getting my mindset in check to really move forward in my business, every single day I would ask spirit for signs. And I found so many feathers and, like, it was just every time I would see a butterfly or a feather, like, I was just receiving it and saying thank you and, like, oh my God, I know I'm on the right path, and giving myself that reassurance. And that was, like, part of the thing that really allowed me to move through the fear and trust my intuition. And I know Lynsey had posted that in the group, like, how do you move through your fear when your intuition is guiding you to do something? And that's, like, what I really like to do, is ask spirit for signs and support. So does anyone have any questions around that?
I think Lynsey had one more question, which was, you know, definitely moving through the fear, but then also, like, what can you do to tap into your intuition when you're, like, not feeling it in your body? Like she said, specifically when your body feels, like, gross or icky, like, is there another way to, like, find that intuitive guidance? I think you kind of touched on that, like, listening for visions, asking for signs, but, like, do you want to add anything to that?
So this might not be what she wants to hear. Or anybody struggling with their body, they might not want to hear this. But like really exploring it even more, you know, like I used to feel like my body wasn't even part of me. And so whenever I was experiencing a lot of the health issues and the stomach issues and my weight, you know, I was almost 200 pounds. And so I used to feel really disconnected from my body. And, you know, it felt really painful to like even be in my body, but like that even gave, like when I look back at that, I can see, so that pain, that discomfort was even me being that comfortable in my own gifts or like in what I had to share. So in letting people see me, right? Because like I had all this issue around being supported and around being seen. So our body is like a protection. So a lot of times when we start to really manifest things into our body, it's really looking at like, what are we protecting ourselves from? And when you can feel into that layer, and even if it's feeling like, okay, I remember like I would ask myself like, what am I feeling? And it would be like, I'm feeling really bloated. I'm feeling really discomfortable. Like, even tuning into those feelings, you know, because it's the more you allow yourself to feel it rather than just like isolate it, you get to go to that next level of like the feelings. And your physical body is the first place to really allowing yourself to feel. And, you know, one thing that I realized for myself too is like when we feel emotions, they're actually very physical. You know, like when you think of being really angry, your shoulders get tight, your back might get tight, you might notice your chest getting tight, your jaw might get tight. And so like what happens is we stop feeling our emotions, but our body's still really tight, because that's why our body's tight, because underneath all that tightness, that emotion's there. So yeah, like just start with wherever you are. And so even if it's like feeling like you don't want to feel your body, like feel into that. Why don't I want to feel my body? You know, if I did feel it, like what would it feel like? And just allow that to, you know, see where it goes. Get really curious about it. So
cool. Okay, so we have getting grounded, getting clear on your intentions, knowing how you receive intuitive messages, and then what is step 4?
So I'm going to just kind of like put these together because I don't know how we're doing on time.
Okay.
So the next steps are really believing that you can have whatever it is and being open to receive it. So it's, you know, you really have to have that mindset. And, you know, one thing, I don't always love the word mindset because it feels very mental to me, like when I feel the energy of it. And it's easy to create those intentions that are from the mind, right? And then what happens is when we're trying to like get behind and believe this intention that we created from the mind, then our spirit, our whole body, our whole being isn't behind it. And so then it doesn't manifest. But when you pull the intentions that are like deeper in your, I like to call it like deeper in your belly. So, you know, it can be heart centered, but like even deeper than that, because your solar plex chakra, which is like your belly, your below the heart, you know, I can't really see on this video, but it's, you know, right above your belly button, in between your chest and your belly button. When we start to feel from there, that's like the knowing. And that is the place of like owning whatever it is you want and like knowing that you can have it and allowing yourself to receive it. So believing, like really getting to that place where you believe and know that you can have whatever it is, and then being open to receive it. You know, and receiving is such a huge part. And like for me, that was a really big part of growing my business and being able to being able to manifest. Like I am a rock star manifester whenever I'm in my mode. Like I manifest things so fast. But one of the things is like if I'm not feeling supported, I can manifest negative things just as fast, and manifest resistance, and like, you know, I'm at this place of being closed, so then I'll manifest even more things to make me feel like I want to close off and shut down. And so, you know, what receiving looks like. And when I was sharing about like this client that I had a session with her yesterday, like this was one of the things I talked about with her. And I know like working with you, Lacey, this is something that we've addressed like personally. It's one of the things that really helped me open to receive. So many coaches, you know, tell you like, do the 6-month program, or like just jump and do this big package and, you know, charge this big price because you're worth it. And the truth is like, you probably are worth it. And like, I knew that I was worth it, but I wasn't open to receive. And so I had these beautiful packages, you know, but like, I wasn't open to receive or even confident to receive. Like it wasn't confident. It wasn't even about for me, like being confident in what I do. Like I was super confident in what I do.
Yeah.
But the actual exchange of like receiving, like was like my energy was totally shut down for that. And I see this with a lot of my clients as well. And so the real question is, go ahead.
Yeah. It's like, you deserving of it or whatever, but it's like until you're believing that, what happens is it doesn't sell, and then our belief is reinforced, right? So it's like this vicious cycle, as opposed to like doing some other things that maybe like reinforce a different belief and pick up our momentum, right?
Definitely. And so yeah, it's like asking yourself like what would allow you to be open to receive. And you know, that could look like getting support. You know, for me, that was a big thing. Like knowing that I have support because, you know, not to go into all of my beliefs and everything of like my personal stuff, but like one of the things for me, and I see so many other people struggle with this as well, is, you know, like I didn't want to receive all this. I didn't want to like receive all these clients and be supporting them and not have support for myself. That was kind of like my deep down negative, my upper limit that I kept hitting, because I was like, oh my God, like I'm going to have like all these people to support and like, I don't feel supported. And so I would like start manifesting all these things where it's like, I don't want to, you know, my energy would close off even more, like not wanting to receive new clients.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Like we have to like have the awareness or the ability to know that we can fill our own cup. Otherwise, like we get really resistant to taking on any or more clients because we feel like we're already like capped out, right? Or we are like scared of getting capped out and not having someone pour back into us.
Exactly. And so like I know for me that was a huge thing, and why like support was so important for me. And the other thing is like even just giving myself permission to receive any exchange. So I know this is something that you talk about a lot, Lacey, is like you have to like open your hands.
Open your hands if you want to be held, right? Really?
Yeah, or like to receive as well. Like, you know, you can't, if your hands are like tied shut, then you can't like receive more energy. So even just looking at like what type of exchange you can make. So like if you're listening to this and like, you know, that you have trouble receiving, like really looking at like, what can you receive? So is it a compliment? You know, is it help from a friend? Is it, you know, having a single session offer that feels good to you? And even if you're offering it at like a special price, receiving money for it, and then receiving like a big compliment or, you know, testimony for it after, but like just starting to open your receiving muscle. And I know for me in the beginning of my business, when I did have my really successful month, this was like another thing for me, because our energy, this is something not a lot of people really talk about, but our energy is a muscle, and our receiving, our ability to receive or even to feel confident is like also a muscle. So, I created this success really fast. And then what happened is I went back into shutdown mode. So like,
overworked your muscle.
Yeah, it's like, I felt really exposed. I felt really vulnerable. And like, this is something that sabotaged me for a long time in my business. Like, it was this cycle that I would continue. I'd teach a class. It would be amazing. And then like, I'd want to go and hide and not show up for like 2 months, online. And
like I gave it all I got.
Yeah. And it's like, it's building that receiving muscle, to allow yourself to receive as you go, and not to, I think, for us perfectionists, because that's, me, an overachiever perfectionist, I would want to like work really, really, really hard and make it so perfect. But it's like, maybe I wasn't allowing myself to receive all along the way. So then it's like, I give this big performance, and then I felt like I had nothing left to give. So really strengthening your muscle to where you can receive like along the way, and just know that that is allowing you to strengthen your container, strengthen that muscle so that you can receive it even more, rather than, like a rubber band, like you stretch it out and then it like wants to come back. But like once you stretch it, if you keep stretching it and stretching it, it stays. But if you just do it really fast, it like the elasticity, it like snaps back. So, if we can think of like growing our business in that same sense, where it's like we're building this muscle, it allows you to view it different, and you can allow yourself to receive as you go. So whether that's, I highly recommend getting support, whether it's a mentor or having mastermind partners or whatever, but having support, and then also allowing yourself to like have the energy exchange from clients, and from the people around you.
So talk to us about from clients for just 1 second. Like, what does that look like to allow yourself to receive from a client? Because I think sometimes what happens is we think that we're not supposed to receive from a client, or we shouldn't ask to have that like energy back. So like, what does that look like for you? How do you practice that?
So I think in the beginning, like even when clients would tell me like they had an amazing session, like I wouldn't even fully receive that.
Like you wouldn't take that in. It would be like, oh, it's fine, or no problem. Or like you wouldn't ask them to like share that, or.
Yeah, both, and so then it's like, because even those words are energy exchange. So even someone saying, this was something, in magic school we were talking about a couple weeks ago, is like, if you have a client that absolutely adores you, and they like for the rest of their life are saying how amazing you are, like how much energy is that? Like, can you allow yourself to fully receive all of that energy exchange?
And right, like be open to it, because I think sometimes people can tell if you're open or not open to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they might not even realize you want them to share that.
Exactly. And so I think, depending on where you are with it, like one thing that I like to do is just visualize, like, so whenever I was really uncomfortable receiving, like, so I would visualize, like, what would it feel like to have clients who absolutely adored me? Or, like, I remember, when I was doing my nutrition business, like, I really was passionate about energy healing and, like, spirituality. So, like, I would meditate and, like, just visualize and feel into, like, what would it feel like to have clients that were excited when I talked about energy and they wanted to learn about it and, like, know more about it, and just like allowing myself to feel it in meditation form and visualization form. And that was actually how I started to receive those clients who were excited about it, who wanted to learn about it. And that's when I started to create my energy classes. And so, I think the first thing is just getting ourselves in the space of receiving. So whether, even if it's receiving money, like I do the same thing. Like if I'm wanting to sell a program, like I will meditate on it and I'll visualize like actually the energy exchange. So visualize myself doing the program, whether it's teaching it and showing up, and then like seeing people like being so excited, so grateful for it, seeing them pay me, seeing the money in my PayPal account, and like just allow myself to feel that.
I love that. That's so true.
Yeah. And sometimes, even in meditation, it's like, can I receive that? And so, but it's a good practice, because then you can be like, okay, so what would allow me to receive that? Is there anything that needs to change for me to be able to receive that? And that's when we can really start playing around with the energy and opening the energy in a new way. And then you get to notice like all the things that start happening.
So I think one of the other questions that Lynsey asked in the group was like, what to do if like it seems like things are taking a while to show up, or like if you feel like you're being intuitively guided to do something and then like the results from that aren't showing up. Like, how do you know when to change directions? Like you just mentioned results. So like, how do you know when to like pick a new path or reevaluate your results or goals?
So I don't think it always has to be about like picking a new path, but it's more of the question of like asking yourself what would feel more in alignment. So I'll use this meditation a lot of times. And, even just like with my programs that I have right now, they didn't always feel good to me. And when I didn't have them at a place where it felt really good, like the exchange didn't feel equal, whether what I was putting in or, the monetary about the amount that I was like asking or whatever, like if it didn't feel good, it was challenging for me to fully put my energy into it. But if I noticed myself like having that resistance of like not wanting to talk about my programs or like even work on them or whatever, I would do this meditation of like visualizing the energy and just playing around with like, what is it about this that is feeling scary, or what is it about it that feels unequal, or like just really doing some of that inner work and exploring it more before you surrender it, because sometimes it's little bitty tweaks, like a couple sessions that I had with people like in the past week, it was as simple as like, they were referring to themselves as a coach, and like energetically, they just were not vibing with that. And like when I brought that to their attention and we like discovered another title, it was like their energy totally shifted. So it can be as simple as like a couple of words. It doesn't even have to, words hold so much energy that sometimes something might not be feeling right, but it can be really, it's not that you need to like surrender the whole project or like totally focus on something else. It's more of just like really looking at what is it about it that is feeling off. So I don't know if that answers.
Yeah, definitely. So why don't you just recap the steps for us really quickly, give us like one last step by step, and then I would love for you to tell everyone how they can find you. I know you have like a free gift for everybody. I'll put the link to that in the comments, but if you could just tell us about that, that would be awesome.
Awesome. Okay. So the first step is getting grounded. So, I suggest first getting grounded in yourself, getting super clear what you need to have a solid foundation for yourself in growing your business. Then you can practice grounding daily. The second step is being super clear on your intentions. And also like knowing, evaluating, like, are these intentions coming from a deep desire, or is it coming from logic of like, I think I should do this, or I think I want this? If it's a think, then it's probably not that deep core burn. The third step is knowing how you receive messages. So really being curious, really, just starting to get curious about it. That was like, intuition can be super fun whenever you just go throughout your day and you're like, how is my intuition going to speak to me today? And allowing yourself to just get really curious and to start to explore, like, how does it show up for me? Like, if I ask for inspiration, like, what happens for me to feel inspired? I think you had shared, I don't remember his name, but it's somebody that you always share in your group, and he talks about the cloud and the dirt people.
Gary Vee. Yeah.
Yeah, and like in one of his videos, he talked about like how, if he's feeling uninspired, he just simply says like he wants to feel inspired, and like there's inspiration everywhere. And so like that's something that like you can use your like when you start to like live each day from that place, you realize just how much, energy and intuition is like all around you, and how much you're really being supported. And it just shifts the whole perspective of like being an entrepreneur. Like, you can get inspired anytime you want, right? Like, there's inspiration everywhere.
Yeah.
So knowing how you receive messages, playing with that, and getting really curious about it. And then the last steps is believing that you can have whatever it is that you want and being open to receive it.
Beautiful. Okay, tell them how they can find you. I know you have Be Your Own Business Guru that you're giving away, so I put that in the comments. And just, where can we find out more about you and connect with you?
So my website, if you want to learn more about me, is www.lynsey, my name, Lynsey, Landry, Landry.com. And also have a Facebook group, Soul Inspired Success, where, you can definitely connect with me there.
Cool. Tell us about Be Your Own Business Guru.
So Be Your Own Business Guru is a 3-video series that I created basically to teach you the process of tuning into your intuition. So each video takes you into a new layer. So we talk about the physical body, we talk about emotions, and also like how I've been talking about like knowing where you're operating, whether it's the thoughts, the heart, the solar plex, we talk about that. And so each video I bring you through different meditation technique exercise to help you tap into a new layer of your intuition, and also tell you about how to use it in your business.
Awesome. Okay, so the link for that is in the comments. I'll make sure to link your website as well. And thank you so, so much for being here today. Thank you for sharing these steps with us, and for like reminding us that there's so much more to bringing in clients, bringing in that money that we want, than like having one strategy, but also being really available to look at it in this whole other way. And that really helps us create amazing content, get inspired, and really crush it online. So thank you for your time, Lynsey. And thank you everyone for being here.
Thank you, Lacey, for having me.
Bye.
Bye.